everybody, it's Amy Astro here and welcome back to my channel. I think I have a good video for you. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've got a good video for you guys planned today. This is for the DIY folks who like to tinker and do things and bravely cut wires. In fact, today I think we'll be cutting some wires too. Are you tired of having those really long cables all over your telescope and you want things to be a little bit more compact, but you've been afraid to cut these 6-foot cables? Well, I'm going to show you a way that you can cut those 6-foot cables down to 2-foot cables and not sweat it. You ready? Let's get started. Researching online, looking for the right connectors that I needed, and that was the right connectors I needed to plug into my actual devices. Now, the easy one to find out about was because all my friends are using this. That is the Anderson power pole. All right, so let's look at that real close here. They're real easy. I mean, they are just perfect for you to use when you're needing just 12-volt power. Now, you can have one cable with this connector and you can have a second cable with this connector. They'll plug into each other and make a longer run if you should ever need it. What I was tending to do with some of my plugs was I put a pair of these in the center of my cable, so if I ever wanted to go back to that old style plug, I could by reconnecting things. But I'm going to show you guys a few examples of cables that I cut and made shorter and just made things look a whole lot neater wire management wise with my telescope. So let's zoom in just a little bit closer. So welcome to my very messy desktop, okay? Now let's start with the first one that drives a lot of us crazy. Dew heaters. Now I wish I could tell you that you could cut your dew heater cables and be successful, but I'll be honest, they're very tiny cables and I was very unsuccessful. But for the main power run here, here's my Astro dew heater. Let's see, is it going to focus? My Astro dew heater. I did cut the cigarette lighter off of it and put an Anderson power pole. So here's what I've got. I've got my Astro I cut the cable off. This is the power supply that they gave me with it. And I labeled it just to make life easier in the future when I'm digging through my cable bin. And I added a power pole to it. And the power poles, they will match up together and snap together just like that. So now I can go back to using this plug if I want. But since I don't want to do that, I'm going to do a power distribution for you. Alright, this is what I use for my power distribution. This is by PowerWorks. It's called a PD8. PD stands for power distribution and then 8 channels. Now if you roll this over and you look at this, I have 8 pairs of red and black going across here. And this is really easy to use. Now one pair is going to be used for my input power. It does not matter which one of these you choose to use, because they are all jumpered together on the inside, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cable here and I am going to plug it in, and they just snap together just like that, okay? So this is one cable that I have with my Anderson PowerWorks connector on it, and here is the other side of that cable. Now this is my input cable. This is what's powering up all of these other plugs. So I need to put it in my power box. All right, and this is what I use to supply my power. It plugs into the wall socket at 120 volts, and I take this end of my plug, which I want 12 volts on, and this will step the voltage down from 120 to 12 volts, okay? And all I do is I plug this into here. Now, if you're thinking ahead like I know you guys are, This is now mounted on top of my telescope, one cable down to the ground. Now let's think about that. One cable coming off your telescope. That's a whole lot easier to manage. But we still have 6-foot long cables. Let's work on shortening one up and adding this to here. Now when all is said and done, what I used to do on my telescope was I had my dew heater plugged in, my computer was plugged in, my focuser got power, my USB hub needed power, and I still had leftover power plugs to go. Oh, and I even powered my cameras off of this, and it was foolproof. It worked great. I had Velcro, double-sided, mounted on top of one of my Losmandy plates, and this is a really, really slick way to do things, and it's not nearly as expensive as some of those other options like your Pegasus power boxes. We can get all of this done in probably $50 or less, depending on if you have the tools, and chances are if you're like me, you probably had to buy the tools to get this done. All right, but let's learn how to wire one of these up. All right, what made me think of showing you guys this today was, do you remember in another video we made this light panel here where it was all operated by a 9-volt battery? Well, just about everything I've got on my rig is run off of 12 volts, and sometimes I wanted the option to run this off of 12 volts instead of a 9-volt battery in case this died on me. So I'm always planning ahead for a plan B. So I went back to their website and I picked up their Mondo EL inverter, and this is a 12-volt power supply, which will work just fine off of for this light panel that we did. And this is for the light panel connector, and the other, here we go, this is for me to add my power to. Now it's 12 volts, as you can see right here, so it needs 12-volt power source. Now I can get one of those converters that have the really big squares in the middle, which takes the 120 back down to 12 volts. Instead, I'm going to see if this plug, which is, let's see, it might be a 2.1 millimeter, if it works for this one. And it does. It works really well in there, but let's just check the 2.5 that I have here. These are very hard to tell apart, whether they're 2.1 or 2.5. Pretty much I have to try them. And that one seems to work real good. Okay. So what I've got is this cable that I had made before. I'm just going to test it. Okay. Power pole on one side, the 2.5 on the other side. Okay, I'm going to plug in this power pole to my source power. All right, so now this is plugged into input power. I'm going to take the other end of that cable and plug it into the flat frame panel that we made. There we go. We got it flashing so you can see that it works. So this is a really great combination. But the cable that I just plugged into this is being used somewhere else, so let's make our own cable. Okay, so off of Amazon, I purchased a package of these cables here. All right, on one side I have the 2.5, and on the other side I have this bare cable. So it looks like it has a pair of flying leads on it is what it is. I'm going to take this and split these two wires, okay? So I'm going to split them back just a little bit. All right, and I've got these wire strippers here, and we're going to strip our cables. And let's go find the right one here. All right, I'm going to squeeze it. And there it is, nice and neat. We're going to go back here and do this other one at about the same length. Oops, I frayed that a little bit. All right, and I'm going to give them just a little twist. All right, so now I've got them split, and it is time to add our power works. Now these are 15 amps. They're about as big as you're really going to need. Any bigger, you're going to need larger gauge wire. Okay. And you can buy these where they're separated into 2 pieces or get them as one. There is a little metal clip on the inside. And inside here, they supply you with these clamps. And they have little hooks on them. And then your wire will go on the inside, okay? So our goal is to get the wire in here, and then we clamp it tight on here. And when I look at the inside here, I'm going to put this in so it looks like it's scooping up, and it will notch into the top of here. So I'm going to clamp it going up. And this takes a little while to figure out which direction to get things going. But I tend to lay things down, and I want my red on this side, and I am going to put this little end cap on it. And if you can see, it just pushed right on, and I want this to go in like it's scooping up. So I'm going to rotate this so it's scooping up, okay? And then I have these little crimpers. These are special for the Anderson power poles, okay? And what I'm going to do, they're pressure operated here. I'm going to put this on the inside. Okay, I'm going to put this on the inside. Like that, okay? I'm going to lock it down, and now I'm going to, with everything I've got, I'm going to squeeze this until you hear it click, and I'm going to let go. And now I have this all connected, and I will take this little, the power pole, and I will push it on the inside until it clicks over the edge. Now this is usually the hard part, is we take a small screwdriver like this, and we can carefully push it in. All right, so now that it's all pushed in, I had to give a good healthy push with the screwdriver. Let's put the connector on the black cable. All right, so here's the connector. And this is my other wire, and I want it to go facing down. So my cable is not all twisted, which I have successfully twisted. Yep, I successfully twisted it. There we go. That's okay. Let's put this on the end of the cable. And now pay attention to how you have this rotated. I want it to scoop over the end. I want it to scoop over the end of the metal piece that you see down in here. So I have this scooped. This is what it's going to be. And then I'm going to take my crimper. I'm going to slide it into the crimper, just like that. I'm going to close it, and I'm going to squeeze it till it clicks. All right. And there we go. We have another cable connector made, and see, it's nice and snug. Now let's get this pushed into here. And these do take a little bit of fidgeting, okay? So just don't stress over that. And as much as I told you not to twist the cables, I twisted them. I could cut the cable and redo it, but it's not really going to matter a whole lot. So I'm going to take this, cherry scoops. There we go. And you can feel it click in when it does finally click. But here we go. Make sure that focuses. That is our completed cable, ready to use. Okay, now you can take some electrical tape if you want and wrap it around the ends to neaten it up, but this is all it takes. Now let's see if it works, okay? All right, we're coming back to our light panel. We are going to plug this in. And now I'm going to plug this guy into my power supply. All right, so he's plugged in. Moment of truth. Let's turn the power on. There we go. Just that easy. And I'm going to turn my dimness down. What I did learn after using this for a bit, this is very bright. It doesn't seem like it's very bright, but I did end up using a t-shirt over the end of my telescope plus this, and I was able to get my lights, my flats, to work out a whole lot better. That was the main reason I needed to cut a cable today. But let me just show you how simple this is. I've got this. Imagine it's mounted on my telescope. I've got my dew heater here. It's been cut down, so I can plug him in to the next one, okay? I have a powered USB hub. I've got one of these cables already made up. Notice it's a pretty short one. I'll plug it in, and I can add it to the hub. And they're all getting power just like they should. I have power. All right, this guy, until I put the other side of the USB in, we can't tell if he powers up. But I've done this with all of my cables, and I cut them to whatever length I need. All right, so let me show you just a couple other things that I've got going on here. I also purchased this from PowerWorks, which is my Anderson power pole connector and the cigarette lighter. So I actually keep this plugged into my power supply, and coming off my mount, I have this one. But there was a phase where I didn't want to use this, so I wired up a new cable for my Skywatcher. You can buy these online. I'll leave links down below to everything. And then I've got my PowerWorks on the other side. So I had this guy actually mounted up to, let's see, I'm hobbled here, to this power supply. And so now he was powering my mount also. And I was bringing everything up to the top of the mount. All my power was up there, and one cable only off. Okay, so PowerWorks also makes these really cool things. They're called USB putties. If by chance one of your devices needed USB power, they pre-make this. I did not make this cable. And it's USB and it's power, and it converts it down to a 5 volts. So that's a pretty, handy little accessory to have, especially if you're out at the field at night and you needed to power up your cell phone. So there's all kinds of cable adapters you can buy out there on Amazon, or there's another company that I use a lot. It's, here it is, mpja.com. And I would buy these little plugs, and some of them are real easy. You just insert the wire, tighten a screw, it's good to go. Some of them do require soldering, which if you're brave to try that, I did it, but I would buy 5 connectors, so I had plenty to spare if I goofed up. And I always goofed up on the first couple. No big deal. They're not hugely expensive, a couple dollars each. And I've also bought myself several rolls of this cable, red and black, for 12 volts. It is called Car Audio Home Theater Cable. Now this one here happens to be 18 gauge. Now here's a little wire lesson for you. Remember when we talked about the aperture, where the smaller the number, the more light came in? Well, in wire, the smaller the number, the bigger the cable. The bigger the number, the smaller the cable, okay? A lot of what we use is only about 18 gauge, which is not really big. But here is a 12 gauge. All right, so this one right here is 12 gauge. This one right here is 18 gauge. And you can see the size difference between the two of them, okay? Typically what we need is about this size. The 18 gauge works just fine. All right, guys, so don't let your cables bother you. You don't like it, cut it. It's not a big deal. Typically, if you really screw up, you can buy a new cable. I know it's not always ideal, but sometimes you just want a cable to only be this long instead of having this big wad, you know, Velcro wrapped all up, stuffed underneath your handle and stuff, and just making things to be too bulky. And all this cable, it does add weight to your telescope rig. So if you're not up for carrying an extra ½ pound of cable, then just leave them that length. But if you don't want the wind blowing them around, like they sometimes do, cut them, make them shorter and more manageable for yourself. A real easy route is using the Anderson power poles because they're friendly. A lot of hobbyists use them. They're real popular with the ham radio folks. And yeah, if you guys do the ham radio, you probably recognize them and know all about them. My club guys, they showed them to me real early on, and that's where I just kind of centered in till I picked up the Pegasus, Astro, power boxes and things. But when you look at the price of the power box and you look at the price of just connecting your own cables to the power pole, it's a significant difference. So you choose your route, just a few dollars and some fun playing time cutting up wires, or you get an all-in-one solution. Either way, they both work. I have both, I've used both, no complaints, except for my wallet. So that's what I got for you guys today. If you guys like these little project videos, let me know down in the comments if you have another project for me. Send me suggestions, send me what you've done. I will recreate it if I possibly can. I enjoy these things. I don't care how many flat panels I own. I'll make another one if you guys have a better idea. So guys, give me the thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Subscribe. Watch more of my videos. I need all of you guys, okay? I appreciate every one of you who take the time out of your day to watch these videos. And I look forward to next week's video. In fact, the UPS van just delivered it, so I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. But it's going to be fun, all right? I'm counting on it being fun since I ran out like a school kid when I saw the UPS driver all excited when he gave me this box. So, guys, I wish you guys some great health, some clear skies, and I will see you all in the next video. I love each and every one of you. Goodbye, y'all.